Hey there, Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome to a new paper crafting video. This is a process video for the Craft Roulette episode 285. Craft Roulette is the ultimate paper crafting game show on YouTube live almost every single Friday night. I love to play along, and Tracy Fear was the guest on episode 285. She's my friend, so I had to play along. Plus, I just love a good challenge. So let's go over the parameters that the wheel spun, and now we're challenged to make a card with those parameters. The first one was project, and that was a square card. I'm doing a 5.5 by 5.5 inch card today. The second was colors from the dairy aisle. I chose to go with the color of cheese. So these Avery label stickers will fit perfectly in the Creative Companion and those little spots designated for the color. So I love doing that. I really wanted to use this background right here that I had previously made with a stamp set, the Be Happy stamp set from Scrap Diva Designs. And that's because one of the other parameters is hexagon, which reminded me of bees. And leaves was the other project parameter that we needed to use. The what was it? Element. And that honeycomb set also has leaves in it and flowers. So I'm going to use that honeycomb set. And then I also wanted to try to incorporate this background paper because I felt like it went really nicely with the background that I made with the Be Happy stamp set. Also, I have a personal challenge for myself to do a shaker on all of my Craft Roulette creations. So I'm going to use Be Happy Words 1, I think it is, and I'm going to use the word that says Be Happy. So I've sketched out the card that's in my head, and I'm going to do a little bit of a fun fold on this one, which I'm calling a center fold. I don't know if it has a different name, but I'm going to have to trim down this panel here, which, by the way, this panel is one I made from a gel press print that I had previously done with acrylic paint on my gel press and then stamped the bees on top of it. So I just measured my card and figured I needed some pattern paper strips for the sides of this panel that were about 3/4 of an inch wide, and I cut them to 5 1/4 so it'd fit on this square card. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere these down, and you'll see me using a lot of this tape runner. So I recently made a connection with 3L through Trinity Stamps, and they sent me some of their adhesives to give a try. And I'm really a liquid glue girl, but sometimes with pattern paper, because it's thinner, I don't mind using dry adhesive. So I'm using this permanent tape adhesive runner, and I'm really liking it. It rolls off really easy. It seems thick and sturdy. So I trimmed down my handmade panel, and that is 5 1/4 by 3.5. So they would fit in that opening between the two pattern paper pieces there. And I did the tape runner there. I'm also going to do a little bit of a liquid glue as well. And I liked both adhesives for this panel because it's slightly warped from having been wet from the acrylic paint. So I wanted it to hold down really well. Okay, then I noticed this piece was a little crooked. So I used a scrap piece of paper as a little saw, and I was able to get under that adhesive and take it off and get it back on so it was more straight. And I was much happier with it. And it's really important that that piece is straight for this part right here. I'm going to cut a slit between those pieces of paper. So between the pattern paper and my homemade paper, I'm cutting in between them. This will make those sections on the outer edge somewhere between 7/8 of an inch wide and 1 inch. And then what we're going to do is stick these side pieces down. So now these side pieces will be part of the outside of the card and part of the inside of the card. And then we have the center flap that lifts up. So that's why I'm calling it the center fold card. Now I'm bringing back out my basket of backgrounds, which is where I got the one I stamped the bees on, but these are gel press prints or ink smooshed prints, even some hot foiled prints or shading cream, just a lot of backgrounds that I've made over the years. I save them in there and I pull them out. And I thought, because my background is a gel press print, I'm going to use other prints on this card to really jazz it up instead of just using solid cardstock. So now I'm getting ready to create my sentiment for this that is going to be a shaker. Here's the really key important thing and a great tip I have to share with you in creating these small kind of shakers. Take a piece of fun foam, put adhesive sheet on the front and the back. Die cut your two frame pieces like I'm doing here. One would be the base piece, one would be a shadow piece, but if you use them both together, you can create a frame. Now the goal here was to try to get the dies to come off stuck together, but the dies didn't stay stuck together, so I will have to reattach them. But what you want to do is remove that centerpiece. We're not using that for this card, but you can save it for another sentiment. And you want to keep that frame you just made stuck in the foam. I'm using that solid piece that I cut out the background for a piece of window sheet, and this is why I needed the dies to stay together, so I can also cut out the frame for the front. We save that fallout piece and keep the frame. Okay, so we're almost ready to start building our shaker, but we need the words that are going to go on top, which is going to say be happy, and I did that from yellow cardstock and backed it with rip and stick sheet to turn them into stickers. Last but not least, we need our shaker element. So I'm using the brand new yellow sparkle spots from the Trinity Stamps shop and some of their shaker pop beads in black. So I'm using all the colors on my card. I am going to kind of bring out more of that kind of pinkish red color that is a little bit in my bee background, and that's why I've chosen the background I did for this shaker. So I flipped this piece of foam over, taking the adhesive backing off just that frame piece, and then I can add on my background for my shaker, which is this new gel press print I just showed you. Now it's time to add the shaker bits, and I did get a little more than I needed, but it was totally fine. I love making my own shaker mixes like this and pulling out some of my favorites to customize it for the colors of my card, which is from the dairy section. We're going with that cheese color, remember? Okay, now I'm pulling the backing off the front side of my foam frame, and then I'm going to add the window sheet. Now the window sheet is kind of, I would say, bent up just ever so slightly on the edges because the die itself puts pierced holes in it, and I wanted to make sure this really stuck down. That's why I added some liquid glue. I put some heavy blocks on top to let that really dry, and then it's time to add my frame. Now this frame, I probably should have backed it with rip and stick sheets as well to turn it into a sticker, but I didn't, so I'm just going to rely on my glue, and then that's going to go down over the top of the window sheet to really complete the look, give it a polished off look. Now this isn't just black cardstock I'm using here. This is black glitter paper, which I absolutely love. Now I really need to let that dry because I'm gluing down glitter paper onto a window sheet. So I'm setting that aside with the heavy blocks on top, and I'm bringing back that hexagon set, and it's an octagon. It's a beehive set, not a hexagon. And I wanted to do my leaves, which remember is one of the elements that I need on my card for Craft Roulette. I'm doing that from another gel press print. Now, if you love that print and you would like to get it for free and be able to print it out, that green print, all you need to do is be a member of my channel, and you will have access to that to download as my gift to you. So that information is below the video if you're interested in being a member of this channel and getting some freebies like that one. Okay, I stuck my letters down, and now it is time to remove this entire shaker from that placeholder. And I really love keeping the frame in the foam because then it doesn't stretch out and move, and it really makes for an easy way to build a small shaker like this because that foam is not going to move around on you. All right, we're sticking this down to the card. So I am adding some dry adhesive, just a piece of rip and stick tape, one strip down the center, and a little bit of liquid glue, because this is going to be a part that maybe people will use as a handle to open and shut this centerfold card. So I wanted to make sure it stuck down really well. I put my flowers together. I added a yellow center. By the way, there are two centers for this flower. I only use the outer one, which has kind of a deckled edge, and then I am going to put an embellishment in the center there. So now I'm just playing with the flowers, trying to figure out where I want them to go, and because my sentiment has popped up, I decided to go ahead and pop up my flowers and my leaves. So once I figure out where I want this to go, I'll just then pick them up one at a time and stick everything down. And I actually did, sometimes I do this, I end up moving where things are once I go to permanently stick them down. So I will end up moving the leaves ever so slightly once I do that, which you can see they're more towards the center of the card. And then here's my embellishments. These are some baubles. They're like a golden, they're yellow, but they're kind of the golden yellow with a pearlized finish. They are so perfect. I'm going to link all the things I'm using for you in the description box below. Being on the Trinity Stamps design team, sometimes my embellishments don't always have the name on them when I first get them, but I'll find it in the shop and link it for you in the description box below, as well as these amazing stamps, dies, and papers from Scrap Diva Designs. Okay. I decided to add a little bit of glitter. I've been obsessed with my rock candy glitter since making a bunch of these bee projects for Scrap Diva Designs last month, and using glossy accents and then the glitter on top. Now, I did have some, like when I very first opened the bottle, like a ton came out. So I'm just using a Q-tip to kind of clean that up. And I don't know, just Q-tips in the craft room have become my thing lately. Loving it. All right, so I did that. I'm going to open up a scrap piece of paper and I'm just going to dump on that rock candy glitter. Now, if you're not familiar with this glitter, it's a clear glitter. It has no iridescent shine to it, and it's just like sugar. It is so good. I love it. So I tapped off the excess. Now I need to let that dry. And then I just used a folded in half scrap piece of paper so I could easily pour that back in. Now I did find this little honeycomb piece in the honeycomb die set and thought maybe I need to stick some of this on my card, even though I've already met that requirement from the wheel and have the octagons on my pattern paper there. But I thought this would be really fun to add over here, over there. I wasn't sure. I set it aside and decided to create a panel for the inside of my card, which is the same pattern paper as the panels that will be on the side. So when you open this card, it's going to have a really nice polished look. So I pulled out that Be Happy stamp set again. I'm using my favorite black ink, which is the Dare to Be Artsy Jet Black. It's a hybrid ink. It's permanent. It's great for all the things you like to do. Watercolor, alcohol markers. It's a great ink. All right, so I'm stamping that down. This is a new pad I recently got when I was actually in Kansas City, and I got to go to the physical store of Dare to Be Artsy. I grabbed a new one. It's fresh and juicy and I love it. All right, so now let's put some adhesive on the back of this, but isn't the back side of this or the other side of this so pretty? What a great paper pad this is. Okay, I realized I did not cut this to the right size. I trimmed it down to 3.5 inches and then it fit in there, and I just love that you have the outside and the inside kind of going along with each other. I added some glossy accents and rock candy glitter to these pieces and decided, yeah, I would go ahead and stick them down for another fun element to this card. I think having the glitter on them really helped them to kind of pop. And there it is, my finished card for Craft Roulette episode 285 with special guest Tracy Fear, who's at Not Afraid of Color on YouTube if you want to check her out. And be sure to go over to Craft Roulette, subscribe, and join us on Friday if you have not. If you are in need of crafty community, it is the place to be. You're going to have so much fun. There's all levels of card makers there, from beginner to expert, and we just have fun playing along with the challenge every week, submitting our cards. They do prizes and giveaways, so that's really fun, but really it's all about community and creating something that you might not otherwise create because of the parameters, which is totally fun. And you know what? I just had so much fun today with this card, and playing with glitter too. That was really fun. All right. Thank you for joining me today. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe because I will be back again very soon with more paper crafting just for you. I'll see you then. Happy stamping. Bye.